The stars stretched wide across the sky, shining like silver dust. Among them lived many proud races, each holding their own traditions. On a quiet planet called Zereth, the people were known for one thing only: strength. To them, strength was honor. Strength was beauty. And without it, one was nothing. In the palace of Zereth lived Princess Myra. She was not weak in body, but her heart was soft. She did not crave battle or glory as others did. She loved to watch the gardens bloom and listen to the songs of travelers. She wished for kindness, not conquest. Because of this, her people saw her as unworthy. From childhood, Myra was told the same words again and again: you must prove your strength. Only then will others respect you. But no matter how many times she tried, the blade felt heavy in her hand, and the battles felt empty in her heart. She was different, and different was not welcome. As she grew older, suitors came from far across the galaxy. Mighty warriors with shining armor, scars of battles, and proud voices stepped into her hall. Each came with the same demand: fight me. Prove you are worthy of standing beside me. Myra lowered her eyes every time. She could not raise her weapon. She did not want to. One by one, they turned away. Coward. Unfit. Not a true daughter of Zereth. Their words struck deeper than any blade could. One evening, Myra stood on the palace balcony, watching the twin moons rise above the horizon. The cold wind brushed her face, carrying whispers from the training grounds below. The warriors of her people roared as they clashed, steel against steel, fire against fire. Each sound was a reminder of what she could never be. She pressed her hand to her chest and whispered to herself, why must strength only mean battle? Why can no one see another way? But the stars gave no answer. Her loneliness grew heavier each day. She felt like a flower planted in a field of stone, unnoticed and unwanted. It was then that she began to hear stories. From merchants who traveled between the stars, Myra learned of a distant species called humans. They were fragile compared to many others. Their bodies were not built for endless battles, yet they thrived in countless ways. Humans build with their hands, one trader said. They survive with their minds, said another. They protect each other not with power, but with loyalty and heart, whispered a third. Myra listened closely. The idea filled her with wonder. Could it be true? A race that valued more than strength. A people who would not laugh at her softness. She closed her eyes that night and imagined what it would be like. To stand among beings who did not test her with weapons, but who might see her heart instead. The thought warmed her in a way no praise of her people ever had. Still, the reality was cruel. Day after day, new suitors came. Day after day, they rejected her. Even her own family began to turn cold. Her father, the king, said, Myra, you bring shame to our name. A daughter of Zereth must be chosen by a warrior. Yet you refuse all who come. Why? Myra lowered her gaze. She could not explain the emptiness she felt in battles. She could not tell him of her dreams of another way. Her mother shook her head. One day, you will be left with no choice. And no one will stand beside you. Those words followed Myra into her dreams, haunting her. One night, when the palace was silent, Myra walked through the great hall, her steps echoing against the stone walls. She passed by the armor of past kings and queens, each piece shining with pride and victory. They stared down at her as if to remind her of what she lacked. She paused before a tall window, looking out at the endless stars. For the first time, she let her tears fall. Am I truly so worthless? She whispered. Is there no place in this vast universe for someone like me? Her reflection in the glass showed not a warrior, but a gentle soul. She wiped her tears and took a slow breath. And then, she remembered the stories. Humans. Her heart stirred with quiet courage. Perhaps she could leave. Perhaps she could find this world called Earth. Perhaps there, she would not be rejected. For the first time, a small spark of hope shone inside her. Far above the palace, the stars twinkled as if listening. The universe was wide, and though Myra did not yet know it, her journey had only just begun. Somewhere out there, across the silent distance, lived a young human who would one day change everything. And when the time came, Myra would ask him the question that no warrior had ever expected. But for now, she stood in her lonely hall, watching the stars, her heart whispering a promise to itself, if my own people will not see me, then I will find someone who will. The night sky above Earth was calm, filled with quiet stars. In the middle of a forest, the peace was suddenly broken by a streak of light rushing through the heavens. It was not a falling star. It was a ship. Inside that small silver craft sat Myra, her hands tight on the controls. The journey from her world had been long and full of doubt. She had left everything behind: her people, her home, even her family's trust. Yet, her heart told her she had no choice. If she stayed, she would never be more than a rejected princess. The ship shook as it entered Earth's atmosphere. The fire of the sky burned against its hull. Myra closed her eyes and whispered, "Please, let me make it." Moments later, with a loud crash, the ship landed deep in a forest, breaking trees and sending birds flying into the night. Smoke rose from the wreck. Sparks flickered across the broken panels. Myra coughed, her body shaken, but she was alive. In a small town nearby, a young man named Aaron sat by his wooden house. His life was simple. He worked during the day, fixing tools and helping neighbors, and spent his evenings enjoying the quiet. That night, he saw the sky tear open with light. "What was that?" he whispered, standing quickly. Curiosity stronger than fear, Aaron grabbed a lantern and walked toward the forest. The ground shook faintly beneath his feet as he drew closer. Soon, he saw smoke rising between the trees. Myra pushed open the ship's hatch and stepped outside. Her legs trembled, but she held herself tall. The forest smelled of soil and leaves, so different from the metallic air of her home. She looked around nervously. Was this really the world of humans? Would they see her as different and turn her away, just as her people had? A sudden sound made her turn sharply. Footsteps. Through the smoke, Aaron appeared, holding his lantern high. His eyes widened as he saw the strange craft and the tall, silver-eyed figure standing before it. Myra froze. This was the moment. The first human she had ever met. Aaron's heart raced, but instead of running, he stepped closer. Are you hurt?" he asked softly. Myra blinked. No demand for battle. No mocking words. Only concern. She felt her throat tighten with relief. "I am not hurt," she said slowly, her voice unsure. The language felt strange on her tongue, yet the trader's lessons she had heard long ago helped her speak. Aaron looked at the broken ship, then back at her. "That crash, it looked bad. You're lucky." Myra tilted her head. "Lucky?" "Yes," Aaron said gently. "Lucky to be alive." Her people never used words like that. To them, survival was strength, not luck. But here, in this human's voice, the word felt warm. The smoke grew thicker. Aaron stepped closer. "You shouldn't stay here. Someone might come to investigate. My house isn't far. You can rest there." Myra hesitated. Trust was not something she gave easily. Yet, his eyes held no greed, no pride, only kindness. She nodded. "I will follow." Aaron smiled lightly, though he still felt nervous. Together, they walked through the trees. Myra moved with grace, though her steps were heavy from the crash. When they reached his small wooden home, Myra looked around in wonder. It was nothing compared to the shining palaces of her world, Yet it felt alive. The scent of wood, the crackle of a small fire, the shelves lined with simple tools, it was all new to her. "Sit," Aaron said, pulling a chair for her. Myra sat slowly, her silver eyes watching every detail. "This is your home?" "Yes," Aaron nodded. "It's not much, but it's safe." She looked at him carefully. "You are human." Aaron blinked, then laughed softly. "Of course. And you're not from here, are you?" Myra lowered her gaze. "No, I am not." For a while, silence filled the room. Aaron made tea, placing a cup before her. Myra studied it, uncertain. When she finally lifted it and tasted, the warmth spread through her body. She had never known such a simple comfort. "Why did you come here?" Aaron asked at last. His tone was gentle, not demanding. Myra looked into the cup. "Because I was not wanted where I came from. My people, they seek only strength. I have none they value. I was rejected again and again." Her voice shook, but she kept speaking. "I heard of humans. That you value more than power. That you accept." Aaron listened quietly. He had never heard such words, yet he felt the weight in them. "That sounds hard. But you're here now. And you're safe." Myra raised her eyes to him. There was no judgment in his face. No mockery. Only calm truth. For the first time in her life, Myra felt a strange peace. She had not been turned away. That night, as she rested under Aaron's roof, Myra stared at the small window. Beyond it, the stars shone brightly. Her journey had only just begun, but already she felt something new. Perhaps the traders' stories were right. Humans were different. And perhaps, this one human might change her life in ways she could not yet imagine. Morning light touched the forest, painting the leaves in gold. Inside Aaron's small house, Myra sat by the window, watching the new world wake. Birds sang in the trees, their voices sharp but cheerful. She had never heard such sounds on her own planet. Everything here felt alive in a softer way, not in the hard, demanding way of Zeroth. Aaron placed a wooden tray on the table. "Breakfast," he said simply. Myra looked at the bread, eggs, and fruit with curiosity. On Zeroth, food was served in shining halls, carried by machines. It was always perfect but cold. Here, she smelled warmth. She watched Aaron crack a smile as he poured tea. He seemed proud of his small meal, even though it was not grand. Tentatively, Myra took a bite of bread. It was plain but soft, filling her in a way palace food never had. "This is good," she said softly. Aaron chuckled. "I'm glad you think so. It's simple, but it's ours." Later that day, Aaron took Myra into town. She wore a hooded cloak to hide her unusual eyes and the faint glow of her skin. Myra felt nervous walking among humans, afraid they would notice. But the people were too busy with their own lives. Children ran through the streets laughing, chasing each other. Women sold fruit at stalls, calling out in friendly voices. Old men sat by the roadside, talking and joking. Myra slowed her steps, her eyes wide. On Zeroth, streets were silent except for the sound of drills and training. No one laughed. No one played. Seeing humans so free felt like stepping into a dream. "Why do the children laugh so much?" she asked quietly. Aaron glanced at them and smiled. "Because they're happy. They don't need a reason. Laughter just comes." Myra lowered her head, whispering, "I have never heard such a sound on my world." Aaron looked at her, but he did not question further. He could see in her face that her past was heavy. As the day went on, Aaron introduced her to simple things. He showed her how to draw water from a well, how to buy fruit with coins, and how to greet people with a nod. Myra repeated his actions carefully, as though each gesture was sacred. At one stall, the woman selling apples gave Myra a kind smile. "You're new here, aren't you?" Myra froze, unsure how to answer. "She's a traveler," Aaron said quickly. "Staying for a little while." The woman nodded. "Well, welcome. This town is small, but it's safe." She handed Myra an apple. "Here, for you." Myra held it as though it were treasure. No one had ever given her something so freely. She whispered, "Thank you." That evening, they returned to the quiet house. Myra sat by the fire, holding the apple in her hands. "Aaron," she said slowly, "your people, they give without demand. They smile without reason. Why?" Aaron thought for a moment. "Because life is hard. And sharing makes it easier. Maybe we're not the strongest race out there, but we take care of each other." His words struck deep in Myra's heart. On Zeroth, care was weakness. On Earth, it was strength. She lowered her voice. "My people would call this foolish." Aaron looked at her. "And you? Do you think it is foolish?" Myra met his eyes. For the first time, she shook her head. "No, I think it is beautiful." Later that night, Myra told Aaron more of her story. She spoke of the suitors who demanded battle, of the voices that mocked her, of the loneliness that had followed her since childhood. Aaron listened quietly, not interrupting. When she finished, she expected him to call her weak. That was what everyone always said. But instead, he leaned forward. "You're not weak," he said firmly. "You just value something different. And that's not wrong." Myra stared at him, stunned. No one had ever said such words to her before. Her chest tightened, and she felt warmth spread inside her. Before sleeping, Myra walked outside and looked at the stars. The forest air was cool, and the night was filled with the sound of crickets. She whispered to herself, "Perhaps I was not wrong to come here." From the doorway, Aaron's voice reached her. "Earth isn't perfect. We have many struggles. But if you want to stay, you're welcome." Myra turned, her silver eyes catching the firelight. "Why would you let a stranger stay in your home?" Aaron shrugged with a small smile. "Because you needed help. And sometimes, that's reason enough." Her heart trembled at his words. She had crossed the stars searching for acceptance. And here, in this simple human's home, she had found the first spark of it. That night, as Myra lay on the simple bed Aaron had given her, she realized something strange. For the first time in her life, she did not feel unwanted. She did not feel invisible. She felt seen. And deep inside, a quiet thought began to form, though she did not yet speak it aloud. Maybe, just maybe, this human could be the answer she had been searching for all along. Days turned into weeks, and Myra slowly grew used to life on Earth. The forest, once strange and unfamiliar, now felt safe. Aaron's small wooden house became a place of warmth and quiet comfort. Every day, she learned something new. Aaron taught her how to plant seeds in the soil, how to chop wood for the fire, and how to listen to the songs of birds to tell when rain was near. These things were simple for him, but for Myra, each was a discovery. In return, she told him stories of the stars. At night, she pointed to constellations and spoke of the races who lived there, some kind, some cruel, many proud of their power. Aaron listened with wide eyes, his heart filled with wonder. Through these shared days, something unspoken grew between them. One evening, the two sat outside under the open sky. The forest was quiet except for the sound of crickets. A soft wind moved through the trees, carrying the smell of earth and leaves. Aaron leaned back against a wooden post, looking at the stars. "Sometimes I forget how big the universe must be," he said. "And then you tell me, and it feels even bigger." Myra studied him in the starlight. His face was calm, his eyes thoughtful. She saw no greed, no hunger for power, only honesty. It was so different from the warriors of her world. Her heart began to beat faster. For days now, a question had rested inside her. It was strange, perhaps even foolish, but it would not leave her. She gathered her courage and spoke softly. Aaron, may I ask you something important? He turned his head toward her. Of course. What is it? Myra's hands trembled in her lap. She forced the words out, each one heavy. Will you be my husband? For a long moment, silence filled the air. The night seemed to hold its breath. Aaron blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. Your husband, he repeated slowly. Myra nodded, her silver eyes steady but filled with nervous light. Yes. On my world, I was rejected by all. Suitors came, but they did not want me because I would not fight as they wished. They turned away. But you see me differently. You do not ask for strength of arms. You see my heart. That is why I ask. Her voice shook, but her words were clear. I do not want to be alone anymore. I want to choose. And I choose you. Aaron's heart pounded in his chest. Never in his life had anyone asked him something so serious, so sudden. He stared at her, trying to find the right words. Myra, he said gently, I don't think you understand what you're asking. Marriage, it's not just a word. It's a promise. It's two lives becoming one. Humans don't take it lightly. Myra held his gaze. Nor do I. That is why I ask. I do not seek power, or glory, or even the approval of my people. I only wish for a bond. One that cannot be broken by battles or by pride. Her sincerity struck him deeply. He saw no trick in her face, no game. Only truth. Aaron leaned back, his mind racing. He had lived a simple life, far from the affairs of kings and warriors. Now, sitting in front of him was an alien princess who had crossed the stars, asking him to join his life with hers. Part of him wanted to say yes at once. Another part hesitated. Could he give her what she needed? Could a human like him stand beside someone from another world? Seeing his silence, Myra lowered her eyes. I have spoken too soon, she whispered. Perhaps I have misunderstood your ways. If so, forgive me. Her words were soft, but the sadness in them pierced Aaron's heart. He reached out and touched her hand gently. No, Myra. Don't think that. You haven't misunderstood. I need to think. What you're asking is big. But I promise you this. He paused, his voice steady. I don't see you as weak. Not now, not ever. To me, you are strong in a way that matters more than battles. Myra's eyes lifted, shining faintly in the moonlight. You truly believe that? I do, Aaron said firmly. For a moment, the air between them felt different, lighter, warmer. Myra's heart filled with quiet hope. Aaron continued, let me give you my answer when I'm ready. But know this, you're not alone anymore. Not while I'm here. Her lips curved into a small, trembling smile. Those words were enough for now. She had not been rejected this time. Instead, she had been heard. That night, when she lay awake, Myra thought about what had just happened. She had asked the question her people would have laughed at. And yet, the human had not turned her away. For the first time, she felt her future might hold something brighter than loneliness. She whispered into the darkness, even if his answer takes time, I will wait. For I know now, that strength of the heart is greater than any blade. And far away, among the stars, her people could not imagine what choice she had made or how it would change not only her life, but theirs as well. The days after Myra's question passed quietly. Aaron worked in his small garden, while Myra helped him carry water and gather firewood. They did not speak much about the question again, but the air between them felt different. Every glance, every small smile carried meaning. Myra felt a strange peace in these simple days. She no longer heard voices calling her weak. Instead, she heard birds singing, neighbors greeting, and Aaron's calm voice guiding her through the tasks of earth life. For the first time, she felt she belonged. But peace never lasts forever. One night, the forest trembled with a deep hum. The sound was not of wind or thunder. It was the low growl of engines from the sky. Myra froze the moment she heard it. Her heart sank. She knew that sound too well. Aaron stepped outside with his lantern. "What is that?" Myra's face turned pale. "They have come." Above the trees, lights appeared sharp, white beams cutting through the darkness. The hum grew louder as 3 ships descended, landing in a clearing near the forest. Their metal bodies glowed faintly under the moonlight. Aaron's grip tightened on the lantern. "Who are they?" "My people," Myra whispered. Her voice carried both fear and sorrow. The ship's doors opened with heavy echoes. From within stepped tall figures, armored and proud. Their eyes glowed faintly, their movements sharp and strong. These were warriors of Zurith, the same kind who had once judged Myra unworthy. At their head walked Commander Vera, a stern man with a scar across his cheek. His voice was deep and commanding. "Princess Myra of Zurith," he called, his words cutting through the night. "You will return with us at once." Myra stood straight, though her body trembled. She stepped forward. "I will not go back," she said firmly. The commander's eyes narrowed. "Do not be foolish. You belong with your people. You are royalty. Yet you hide among humans. They are weak. They cannot protect you." Aaron stepped closer to Myra, standing beside her though his heart raced. "She doesn't need protection from me. She needs respect. Something you never gave her." The warriors turned their eyes on him, and some laughed quietly. To them, a human standing against Zurith was nothing more than a joke. But Myra did not laugh. Her voice rose with new strength. "I have been rejected by all of you. You judged me not for my heart, but for my refusal to fight as you do. You called me weak. But here, among humans, I have found something you cannot understand." The commander's tone grew sharp. "And what is that?" Myra lifted her chin. "Choice. Kindness. A bond stronger than any blade." Her people murmured among themselves. Never had a princess spoken so boldly against them. Aaron knew he was only one man, without armor, without weapons. Yet he could not step back now. He placed himself in front of Myra. "If you want to take her, you'll have to go through me." The warriors sneered. One stepped forward, towering above Aaron. "You dare challenge us? You are nothing but a fragile creature." Aaron's voice shook, but he stood firm. "Maybe I am. But even if I fall, I will not move aside. Because Myra chose to be here. And her choice matters." His words carried no blade, no fire, only truth. Yet that truth struck deeper than the warriors expected. Commander Vera raised his hand, stopping his men. His eyes locked on Myra. "You truly wish to stay on this world? With this human?" "Yes," Myra answered without hesitation. "I would rather live a simple life here, seen for who I am, than return to a palace where I am unseen." Her voice rang clear in the night. Even the forest seemed to fall silent, listening. Aaron felt her hand slip into his. She squeezed it tightly, and for the first time, she did not tremble. The warriors looked uneasy. They had come expecting to drag Myra home. Instead, they found her standing tall, her human companion unyielding at her side. One of them muttered, "She speaks with more courage now than she ever did on Zurith." Another whispered, "Perhaps, There is strength in her after all. The commander's face hardened. Very well, princess. But know this: you defy the will of your people. Do not expect us to accept this easily. Myra met his gaze. I do not need acceptance from those who never gave it. I have found my own path. The commander studied her for a long moment, then turned sharply. We leave. The warriors obeyed, retreating into their ships. The engines roared again, and soon the lights vanished into the sky, leaving only silence behind. When they were gone, Myra let out the breath she had been holding. Her knees nearly gave way, but Aaron caught her. You were brave, he said softly. Her eyes glistened, but she smiled. No. We were brave. I could not have faced them without you. They stood together in the quiet forest, their hands still joined. Myra knew her choice would bring challenges, perhaps even danger. But she no longer feared rejection. For the first time, she had spoken her truth and she had not stood alone. The forest was calm the morning after Myra's people had left. Yet the air felt tense, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. Myra and Aaron walked together, collecting water from a nearby stream, their hands brushing as they passed the buckets. The quiet comfort of earth life returned, but a new awareness lingered: her people might return, and their judgment had not vanished. Myra had thought the confrontation had been the end. But in her heart, she knew her journey was only beginning. Later that day, a strange vibration shook the ground. Myra stopped and looked up. In the sky, 3 small scouts from Zereth approached. They hovered above, silent and sharp. Their eyes glowed faintly as if scanning for weaknesses. Aaron placed a protective hand on Myra's shoulder. I think they're back, he said softly. Are you ready? Myra nodded, her silver eyes steady. I am. They cannot take away what I have chosen. They cannot undo what my heart knows. The scouts landed carefully, and out stepped 3 warriors. They were smaller than the main ships that had come before, but no less fierce. Princess Myra, one said. You continue to defy us. And now you have chosen a human to stand beside you. Explain. Myra looked at Aaron, who met her gaze with calm determination. She drew a deep breath and spoke clearly. I have not defied for defiance sake. I have chosen my path. This human has shown me respect, kindness, and courage. These are stronger than any weapon. The warriors exchanged glances, confused. Strength measured by kindness. It made no sense to them. Aaron stepped forward, his voice firm. I may not have a sword or armor, but I will protect her. Not because I am strong, but because I care. That is a power you cannot take lightly. The smallest scout sneered. Words do not protect you. Show us your strength. Aaron remained still, steady. Then watch closely. He did not attack. He did not raise a weapon. Instead, he stood unwavering in front of Myra, his body open, his eyes determined. He let them see his fear, his willingness to face it, and his resolve to defend her no matter the cost. Myra watched him, her heart swelling. She realized that true strength was not measured by fire or steel, but by courage of spirit. By standing firm for what mattered. Myra raised her voice. My people, look at him. He is not a warrior of battles or blood. Yet he is brave. He protects what he loves, even against the impossible. I wish to live and love freely. That is my strength. The warriors faltered. None had seen a princess speak so boldly against Zereth tradition. None had seen a human stand so firmly without weapons. Perhaps, one whispered, there is a kind of strength we do not understand. Myra nodded. Yes. Strength is not only measured by the body. It is measured by the choices we make. The courage to love. The courage to be kind. The courage to stand for what is right. Aaron and Myra stood side by side, calm and united. Their bond shone like a quiet flame in the darkness, and the warriors could feel it. It was a power beyond fists and blades. Commander Vera's voice came through a communicator on the scout ship. "Princess, you continue to surprise us. You show courage we did not expect. You're human, he is remarkable in his own way. Perhaps there is merit in what you say." Myra met his gaze steadily. "Then you see it too. Strength of the heart cannot be measured with weapons. And I choose this life, on earth, with him." The warriors hesitated, then lowered their heads. Though they could not fully understand, they recognized that Myra's choice was hers alone. And that even the smallest act of courage could command respect. As the scouts left, Myra turned to Aaron, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You were brave," she whispered. Aaron smiled softly. "We were brave. Together." For the first time, Myra truly felt free. She had faced her people, confronted their judgment, and shown that courage was more than battle. Her heart had chosen, and her choice had been honored. That night, under the stars, Myra and Aaron sat side by side, listening to the forest. The wind rustled the leaves like applause. Myra leaned on Aaron's shoulder. "I never knew strength could feel like this." He gently took her hand. "It's different from what you knew before. But it is real. And it is ours." The forest held its quiet breath, the stars shone with gentle light, and Myra knew that, at last, she had found a place where she truly belonged. The morning sun rose over the forest, casting warm light on the small wooden house where Myra and Aaron had made their temporary home. The events of the past days had left them both changed. Myra no longer felt the heavy shadow of rejection. Aaron had discovered courage he never knew he possessed. Together, they faced a world that neither had fully understood, yet together, they felt ready for anything. Myra stepped outside, the fresh air filling her lungs. The birds sang loudly, and the forest seemed alive in a new way. She looked around at Earth, a world so different from her own, yet full of life and kindness. This was her new home. Aaron joined her, carrying a small basket filled with fruit and herbs. "Good morning," he said with a smile. "Good morning," Myra replied, her silver eyes catching the light. "It feels peaceful here." He nodded. "It is. And it will be better, because we'll make it our own." The days passed in quiet harmony. Myra learned to grow vegetables, chop wood, and care for the small garden with Aaron. In return, she shared stories of the stars, teaching him about distant planets, strange races, and the wonders of the universe. Each evening, they would sit by the fire, talking until the stars were high. Myra discovered that life on Earth was not perfect. Storms came, food sometimes ran low, and challenges arose. But she also realized that imperfections made life meaningful. Here, love and care were stronger than fear and judgment. One evening, as the sky turned orange with sunset, Myra took Aaron's hand. "I have been thinking," she said softly. "All my life, I was rejected, and I believed strength was only in battles. But now, I see that the greatest strength is in the heart. And in choosing love, even when it is difficult." Aaron squeezed her hand gently. "I feel the same. I never thought someone from another world could change my life. Yet here you are, and my life is better for it." Not long after, Myra received a message from her people. They had returned to their own planet but had sent words through the stars. Commander Vera's voice, calm and respectful, spoke to her through a small communicator. "Princess Myra, we have watched your choices. We see that you have chosen a path we cannot fully understand. But we respect it. You have shown courage, and your human companion has shown strength of heart. Go, and live as you wish." Myra smiled softly. "Thank you," she whispered. She turned to Aaron, whose eyes were wide with wonder. They have accepted my choice. We are free to live as we wish. Aaron laughed lightly, relief flooding his voice. Free, huh? I like the sound of that. Together, they began to build a life. Myra learned how to cook earth food properly, while Aaron learned about the stars and other worlds. They shared simple joys walking through the forest, watching sunsets, listening to the rain, and speaking of dreams that stretched beyond the skies. Each day, Myra felt more at home. She had left behind the palace, the traditions, and the judgment of her people. In its place, she had found something far more valuable: respect, love, and freedom. One night, under the blanket of stars, Myra looked up and whispered, I was rejected by all, yet here. I am not alone. Here. I am seen, and I am loved. Aaron gently took her hand and held it. And you always will be, he said. We will face the universe together, no matter what comes. Time passed, and Myra and Aaron became part of the small town in their own quiet way. People grew to know them, Myra for her wisdom and calm presence, Aaron for his courage and kindness. Stories began to spread of the gentle alien princess who had come to Earth, and the human who had stood by her. Some laughed at the idea at first, some were curious, but all were touched by the truth: strength could be measured in ways beyond battle. Bravery existed in choices, in love, and in standing for what is right. Myra often sat beneath the stars, thinking of her home among the galaxies. She missed it sometimes, but she no longer wished to return. Here on Earth, she had found her place. Here, her heart was free. Aaron joined her quietly, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. Do you ever regret leaving? He asked gently. Myra shook her head, leaning closer. Never. Every step led me to this moment. And every moment with you has been more valuable than any throne or weapon I left behind. Together, they looked out at the night sky, the stars shining like silver sparks above the forest. Myra felt hope for the future, knowing that whatever challenges might come, they would face them together. And in that quiet, shared understanding, the universe seemed to stretch endlessly before them, full of possibilities. Myra and Aaron had discovered the greatest adventure of all, the adventure of love, choice, and the strength of the heart. With a soft smile, Myra whispered, I am complete, at last. Aaron nodded, holding her close. And I am with you. Always. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter that night, as if celebrating a love that had crossed worlds, defied tradition, and proven that true strength was not in power or pride, but in courage, kindness, and the heart.